Nice to be here with you today. Hola, Andrea. It's been a little while that I've been live, and I always love coming into this space together here with you. Hello, Hannah. Welcome. Karen, good morning. Yeah. So let's drop into the space together that we're co-creating here today. Hi, Nancy. We are going to continue in our Michael Singer series. So we'll get more into that. Hello, Allie. Good morning. And I'm excited to pull a card from the Michael Singer Untethered Soul deck, especially because, as you all know that follow me and come to the lives, we've gotten the same card like 3 or 4 times in a row, which is like the mathematical odds of that happening are so low. Yeah, it's like 52 cards in a deck, shuffling, and that this same card would come up to me truly is like, Michael Singer really wants us, he's coming into this live stream and he's really wanting us to take in that specific quote from him. So I will read that one again, and then I'll shuffle and pick another one, and we'll see which one gets picked. So the format of this live stream is that we will be continuing to listen to one of Michael Singer's talks, You Are Transcended to This World. So we will dive into that in a few minutes as we just allow people to come in, gather into the space. If there is anybody new, first time with me, first time on an Insight Timer live, first time don't know who Michael Singer is, let me know. And if you are new, I'm Natalie, spiritual life coach and Reiki Master Teacher. So if you feel called, feel free to follow me here on Insight Timer, give a donation if you'd like. This video will be uploaded as a replay video on my YouTube channel, so follow me there, Facebook, Instagram, my website, and all of that if you care to. Don't forget to check out my meditations here on the app. And I have an intention to get at least one more up soon, so stay tuned. Thank you all who listen to my meditations, who give donations, who review them. Thank you so much. Hello, Monica. Hi, Mel. So, is there anybody who does not know who Michael Singer is? And, so that I can explain him to you. And it's totally okay if you don't know. Well, I'm starting to shuffle the deck. This is what it looks like. Great, Hannah. So Michael Singer is an American who's quite older now, and he's a spiritual teacher. What makes him unique is that he has very much lived in the three-dimensional world as far as being a very high-level businessman. But he has been a very high spiritual being his entire life since he had an awakening at 20 years old, I think it is. So, he has lived and breathed and swam in, an American life where he, was in the university system, and then through a chain of events started his own business that grew and grew, and ended up being on the board of a $1 billion company. And through all of this has remained committed to his spirituality at a very high level. So I've got his things here. So he's best known for this book, The Untethered Soul. Oprah, I think, added to the popularity of that. His memoir is The Surrender Experiment, that details what I'm telling you in, detail. And then his newest book, a few years old, Living Untethered. So I'm so grateful I got to meet him a few months ago. So as I said, he signed my cards when I went. I bought these there. And as I said, this card keeps coming out. So I'm going to read it and then shuffle again, and we'll see. I don't know. My sense is we will get a different card this time, but we'll see. So just take in this message. I quoted this to a coaching client yesterday as well. It's just really, to me, it's the essence of suffering and the essence of freedom, the path to freedom and the essence of suffering. So, you think the solution to your inner problems is in the world outside, but nobody has ever truly become okay by changing things outside. There's always the next problem. So very deep spiritual truth. I love, I feel like when I bring these cards, like Michael Singer is here with us, wanting to directly speak through his deck. So I feel like, because he's got a big personality, so I feel like he's just being like, y'all need to focus on this. Like, nope, we're not getting another message. You just need to keep remembering this one. Hey, Jessica. Yeah, and if anybody wants that quote, send me a private message. I can send you a picture of the card. So let's see what he has to say today before we dive in further. Great. Okay, it's different because there's these, I think these are the chapters in the book. So this is from Freeing Yourself. Yeah, so now he wants us to take in this message. Very simple, very profound, and really the essence of his teachings. And he never shuts up about this. So the quote is, "Let go. No matter what it is, let go. Let go. No matter what it is, let go." And most of his talks go into, what does it mean to let go? First, why? What does it mean? Where are you not letting go? And where did that come from? And then, okay, now what? What do we do? Well, we let go. And yeah, so that's like my, year-long intention for 2025 is to live from my heart, and because that's where the letting go happens, is in our, heart chakra, our energetic heart center. So letting go from there. Letting go from here takes care of the mind. And, one of my quotes that I'm working with this year in relation to living from the heart or staying in the heart is related to this quote, and it is, "Nothing is worth holding on to. Nothing is worth holding on to." So that really is sort of a different take on the essence of this quote. Let go, no matter what it is, let go. The deepest, simplest truths for freedom from suffering. Hi, Jason. Nice to see you. So we will go ahead and get started into listening to Michael Singer and continuing the talk that we've been listening to for a while now. Again, if you're new, don't worry. You don't need to have heard anything prior. Just trust you're landing here at the right time, and you'll hear, the perfect thing for you. So the way this works is I'll play the talk, and then we'll pause and discuss or ask questions. If you want a link to the talk, send me a private message. And yeah. And my invitation to you, as always, and now, is that you really be present in this space here together. It can be very easy, and I do this too, of being distracted in my presence and what I'm paying my attention to. And, it's really not a good habit and not a good way to interface with life. And yet the more technology, is here with us, the easier it is, and the more common it is that we're never fully present, singly minded, single focused on one thing at a time for many of us. And I definitely have that as well. So my invitation to you is choose now how you want to spend, the next 45 minutes with me. And my invitation is that if you're going to be here in this live, that you fully be here. And that means, not distractedly on other technology, on other platforms or apps or whatever, that you be fully here now. It really is a form of respecting life by giving your full attention and presence to this moment and how you're going to choose to spend it. It's a form of self-respect and respecting the moment that life is offering you. And it's mindfulness, right? It's mindfulness, it's presence, it's all the stuff that Insight Timer is, stands for. So you can do what you choose, and this is my invitation, that you be really intentional, and it will serve you. It will serve you to be here. And if you're like, nah, I've got to do something else, or I don't want to fully focus, that's great. There's no right or wrong. The invitation would be then to choose whatever it is and to do it fully. If it's here, if it's elsewhere. And then if you want to revisit this live, it will be on my YouTube channel. And you can give your presence when it's convenient. Hi, Ree. Nice to see you again. So, questions or comments? All right, so I will pull up this talk. And as I said, if you want the link, just send me a message. And we may finish this. We'll see how it flows. So here we go.
Now the question becomes, how do I live my life? If I'm not listening to my own preferences, my own views, my own opinions, my own junk that I made up inside, right? You start to realize that if you can get quiet inside and just relax behind the mind, that you're actually in there, and that you can look past the mind at life, and it'd be like a totally different experience. All of a sudden, you are seeing life instead of seeing your mind's reaction to life. I want to go very slow here. Do you understand the difference? One of the tasks I've been giving you lately is when somebody's talking to you, check out whether you are listening to that person or listening to what your mind says about what they're saying. Your mind is just agreeing, disagreeing, wondering what you're going to do when they finally stop. What are you going to say? I don't know. It's just, they're not listening to them. To say it, right? In the same way as you are not listening to somebody else, you are not paying attention to what's going on in front of you. You are paying.
I have to stop it there because it's so interesting how I set the tone for being present. This is, I mean, he's saying this. You can't make this shit up, right? He's bringing in a very deep point about listening and paying attention and being present. And, you know, the classic quote about listening is, are you listening to listen, or are you listening to respond? And so he's saying once you start slowing down enough in life, in your moments, you know, you're going to notice, instead of being identified mostly with whatever the mind is thinking about the moment, that you will not be fully identified with that, but with actually just being present with the moment, not the thoughts about the moment. And so if if you're with somebody and they're talking, like, that's why I even was like, focus here with me right now, or focus wherever else you need to focus, but don't be half and half. Be all in here, be all in wherever you are. And even when you're, in a conversation with somebody and they're talking, are you more identified with your mind's opinion, your mind's projections, perceptions of what it's saying about what the person is saying? Or are you able to be a witness to the mind chatter and not be fully lost in it, but then just be with the person in front of you? Yeah. Hi, Sandy. Not that I'm aware of, influenced by Alan Watts. What I know of Michael Singer, no. He is influenced by a lot of Hindu teachers and philosophies, Paramahansa Yogananda, Ramana Maharshi. When I went to visit him, it's very, very Hindu. What he has, like, a temple, and every morning they chant a long Hindu text called the Sri Atma Gita. I did that this morning, by the way. It's 30 minutes of chanting. So he usually talks about, Indian gurus and things like that. So we will continue.
Attention to as you are not listening to somebody else, you are not paying attention to what's going on in front of you. You are paying attention to the impact that what's going on in front of you has on your personal mind. The mind starts talking about it. When you quiet that down, not quieting the mind, but you listen, if somebody's talking to you and you don't like what they're saying, you're not interested, you just don't listen to them. You have to shut them up. You just don't listen. That's how you become about your mind. See, it's not a struggle. It's a releasing. It's a relaxing. You cease to be interested. I'm not going to do what you say anyways, so if you want to talk, that's your business. I'm going to pay attention to what life is doing instead of paying attention to whether I like what life is doing, whether I don't like what life is doing, or how I can make life be the way I want. That's the core of it. And so now you do these practices, you're going to find out they stretch beyond the 15 minutes. You're going to find out if you practice watching the mind or watching the breath and not getting lost in the mind, that all of a sudden you're in life. And then somebody's driving in front of you slower than you like. And your mind says, nah. It's not doing any good. The person's not hearing you. When you said, how can you drive like that? What's the matter with you? It's a 45-mile speed limit. You're going 25. Look at you now, you're going 15. They're not hearing you. Your mind is making you sick. And so you learn to let go. You just let go, even during everyday moments of your life. So now it's more peaceful because you're not listening to the junk. Now you're more present. You know who you are. I am the one who's not listening to this, who's relaxing behind it. And you're able to handle the different things my heart and my mind are doing. And all of a sudden, you will realize that instead of listening to your mind, you listen to life. Life knows more, as Lao Tzu tried to teach you in the Tao. Life, the unfolding of life in front of you, knows more about what's going to happen next and what's happening now than what your mind makes up. You don't need to be doing that. If you are present with what's happening, you are gathering more information than the junk that your mind is talking about. At least the information you're gathering is about now. It's about what's actually happening. Your mind is talking about what already happened to you. It's talking about your past. It's not really bringing good information into the current moment. And that's why it's making up stuff. I've already been through that. I'll do it again. It's really way worse than anything I could ever begin to tell you once you see it. You're bringing these tiny little incidents that happened to you in your past into the current moment and trying to say the current moment's about those. No, it's not. It's about reality. It's about itself. It's not true that it's raining because it's your birthday. And it doesn't always rain on your birthday. It's simply not true. And it's not true that that person did a given thing because they don't like you or something. You know, you'll find out over time whether they like you or not. You willing to? The answer, of course, is no. No, I want to know now so I don't get hurt. So I have control over the situation. You don't have control over the situation. And if you try to have control over the situation, you will miss the entire situation. You will be busy with your control issues instead of dealing with reality. So this whole thing about shifting your consciousness into the current moment and actually being willing to have a relationship with reality, it will then talk to you. I don't mean talk to you psychically. It's not about that. It's about if there are clouds in front of you in the distance, they tell you more about whether it's going to be raining in a few hours than whether you want it to be raining or not. And the same thing with a human being. If there's somebody in front of you and they're talking to you, listen to them. You will know more about what they're saying if you listen to them and try to feel what they're saying, let it in. Then you will try to protect yourself from what you're afraid they might be saying, or get all excited because it sounds like they're going to say what you want. Basically, we do that. We see what we want to see, or more often we see what we don't want to see. We're afraid something's going to happen, so we see it. This is so funny. So the net result is, what would happen instead if you learn to let go of that and paid attention to what was actually there? Just let it be there and let it touch you and let it come in, and then let the next moment be there, let it touch you, let it come in. All of a sudden, there's no problem. There's just you experiencing the unfolding of life. And at first, it's uncomfortable because you feel exposed. You realize that's why you did all this mind stuff. That's why you made up an alternate reality of how it needs to be for you to be okay. It's just you're scared. Right? Well, eventually you will learn not to be scared. You will learn that you live in a world This is my favorite part of a talk like this. You live in a world that 13.8 billion years ago, your scientists tell you was nothing but massive, thick hydrogen gases. And it made itself into the world you're living in. It made itself into DNA molecules that could make babies out of cells. It manifests everything. It did it all by itself, didn't it? Einstein didn't do it. Nobody did it. You live in a world that the nature of it is so brilliant, so awesome. How could you not be excited to see what's going to do next? The fact that there is weather, the fact that there is rain, the fact that the sun evaporates water out of the ocean and it comes into these carrier systems called clouds, and they float over the land, and then they drop this beautiful water, and the forests water themselves. You live in an awesome place. It's the most unbelievable. It's literally beyond comprehension. That's the world you live in. That's what's going on out there throughout all the galaxies, right? How can you be afraid of that? It's awesome. It's unbelievable. You get to experience the next moment that it's making. No one has yet experienced the moment you're experiencing right now, and no one ever will. This is how a wise person looks at the universe. It is a gift. It is exciting. It is unbelievable. There is no need to make up an alternate reality and fight with it. And eventually you start realizing it's beautiful. It's awesome. Even the worst parts of it are better than nothing. And all of a sudden you feel all this joy and all this love and all this excitement, all this enthusiasm for absolutely no reason. Not because things are going the way you want. It's because you're not blocking yourself from the awesomeness that's unfolding in front of you. That's why we talk about come into the present moment. Be here now. Let go of this neurosis that you've done with your mind. And you'll start feeling love all the time. All the time. You'll start feeling enthusiasm all the time. You'll start realizing, back to where I started, you have this time between your birth and your death. What do you want to do with it? Enjoy it. You wake up in the morning and you giggle. You're going to get the present of whatever happens today. I don't care what it is. It's kind of neat. The universe is going to make something unfold in front of me, and I'm going to experience it. And it's kind of a fun game that you're dancing with. And then you're enthused. You're enthused. So I get to ride in a car. I get to go to work. I get to do something. It doesn't matter. It's just fun. It's just exciting. You're on a tiny little planet, spin in the middle of nowhere, getting to have all these experiences. And so all the complaints go away, all the judgments go away, all the fears go away, the need for control goes away. It's just a beautiful experience. Well, what about getting old? You enjoy getting old. What's wrong with getting old? So you just come to peace with all of this. There's no more reason for all these thoughts. There's no fear. There's no anxiety. When we talk about getting old, people are weird about getting old. When you get old, you start to get varicose veins, and you get wrinkles in your face, and all these things happen. Isn't that neat? It's beautiful. It's always been beautiful. Every moment is different. Why would I want one moment over another? It is completely exciting and enjoyable every moment the minute you let it be. But your mind won't let it be. So that's why you take this time and you put it aside. And you practice, not fighting. It's not a struggle. You just practice, just like you practice the piano, just like you practice any instrument or anything. You practice not listening to the junk that your mind has to say. And at first you won't be good at it. It's okay. You're not good at anything when you first start. But I'm telling you, if you do a little bit every day, a little bit, you're going to get good at it. And you're going to be so glad you did that. After 5, 10, 15, 20 years go by, and all of a sudden you have the ability to not listen to your mind. And something happens, and it starts getting all scared. You just look at it, poor little thing. It's okay. Pat it on the head, because you're not bothered. You're not bothered watching a mind that is bothered. You're not bothered. I want to see you. I want to look in your eyes. When you get to the point that not a single thing can come out of your heart that you're not comfortable with. It doesn't mean a sense of loss, a sense of fear, a sense of pain because a relationship broke up or something. I'm not saying your heart doesn't do that. That's very natural. That's the human heart. Are you comfortable with every single thing your heart can do? Are you comfortable in there with the fact that you have a mind and you have a heart and there's a world unfolding? Eventually you will be. And at that state, I know you would think, I have 2 minutes left, that's all it takes. And they would think, well, that's a high state. that you're comfortable inside, regardless of what the mind is doing. It's the human mind. It's got its issues. And the human heart definitely is very interesting. But you're comfortable. You're the indwelling being who's noticing these things. Because you're not getting sucked into them, that is what it means to transcend. It's not something you do. It's something you realize you are. You are transcended to your mind and your heart and to the world. They can unfold and you remain calm. You remain steady. You remain centered. Because you're not getting pulled into them, you'll start noticing that where you exist now is very beautiful. That there's love, tremendous love, and there's joy, and there's excitement and enthusiasm, and it starts to pull you into it. And you start being pulled up instead of down. Your mind pulls you down into it, your heart pulls you down into it, and the world for sure pulls you down into it. When you stop getting sucked into all that, because you learn to be comfortable, then all of a sudden you start getting pulled up, and it is real. Literally, the energy that used to flow down starts flowing up. You get high, higher than any drug, higher than any intimate experience, higher than anything you've ever experienced. Just this, Yogananda said, there's a river of joy that flows inside of you. Find it, go there, get in, and drown. That's liberation. Yoga means union, the merger of your being with this tremendous flow of energy that starts to pull you up into it. And you can get so high, there's nothing to even talk about. That's why we have pictures of masters hanging out on the walls. I told somebody, if you don't know in the tradition, that some of these guys' names are very similar. Like that's Yogananda, that's Nityananda. A lot of them have names that have this word Ananda in them. So Yogananda means one who has come to know the bliss of yoga. Muktananda means one who has come to know the bliss of liberation, of mukta, of liberation. Nityananda is one who has come to know the bliss of complete merger with the infinite, has gone beyond form, as Anicca means. So all these things with Ananda on them is the teachings that what is inside of you, the highest experience you ever had is because something was going on that your mind opened. And when your mind opened, you felt yourself. That's all you're feeling. You misunderstand. You think the thing outside of you is making you feel high. It's not. It is opening your mind, which finally shuts up for a minute, or opening your heart, so that you can experience what's always going on inside of you, which is tremendous joy, beauty, and enthusiasm. So that starts to become your state. Then you have to learn, people have to learn how to handle their liquor, you have to learn how to handle your Ananda. Drive the car while you're blissing out. They don't make it illegal yet. Be in a relationship where you feel so much love and the other person wants to have a talk with you because they're having some issues, and you think that's so adorable, and you just feel all this love because you're fine no matter what happens. That's where I want you to be. Life is a beautiful thing. You're a free being. You're the most beautiful thing that ever existed, but not if you're lost in that neurotic mind that's all caught up in its past experiences and so on. So I did something I don't usually do. I talked about that 15 minutes in the beginning and the end. Do you see the power of that? What all this high stuff I talked about, what you're doing those 15 minutes is saying, that sounds pretty nice. Maybe I should invest a little bit of my time each day in working on that. And you will find that that's all it takes. I swear to you, all it takes is 15 minutes morning and evening. And over time, you will learn to free yourself and have a very high experience. Very good. Work on these things. Jagrata.
Okay. I am going to take a bathroom break. If anybody needs to do that, you can. And I will be right back, and we will continue. That was the end of that talk. All right. So, how was that for everybody? Is there anybody that's your first time hearing him talk? Hi, Mishi. So, this quote will, now that we've had some context of his teachings, this may land a little deeper. Let go, no matter what it is, let go. Which, as I said, this is the essence of his teachings. Yeah, it is beautiful, Ree. Because he's talking about reality. Reality is, what actually is occurring without the filter of the mind. And the mind puts, its past experiences or its future concerns onto the present moment and wants things to be a certain way, and then we suffer. He gives these examples all the time, It's raining on your birthday, and we take, people take it personally. Who has taken birthday weather personally? As far as basically arguing with reality, So he was talking about 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. Earlier in the talk that we didn't hear today, he was talking about meditation. So I think you probably all gathered that, but just in case it wasn't clear, he's talking about we can use meditation as a time to witness the mind, not fight with the mind, not try to get it to stop thinking, but to witness it so that we can start to establish our seat of consciousness. And he didn't say this in so many words, but that's basically, in my view, what he's talking about, is establishing our seat of self. And he talks about this in other times. What does that mean? It means that we are not totally identified with our mind and our senses. That we're not lost in our thoughts. That we're not lost in the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle would say, or, the energies in the heart. That there is a witness behind all of that. And that the more we practice meditation and the more we just practice mindfulness and presence in every moment, then we start to establish this seat. And then from the seat, we watch, and we, over time become less and less involved in the mind that never shuts up. It's never going to stop. So Sandy argues with himself. Who else notices that? I have a feeling Michael Singer would say to that, that's amazing. Who is the one that notices that you're arguing with yourself? And he would praise you and say, the fact that you can notice that you're arguing with yourself is a very high state, because that means you're being the observer of the argument, and you're of the arguing, and you're not just arguing with yourself. So that's a place to start. Yeah, so he gives that example a lot, Jason. So he talks about low-hanging fruit, and if y'all, if you're a Michael Singer fan, you've heard him talk about this a million times. And he talks about, working with what he calls scales or low-hanging fruit. We don't start doing this spiritual work with our childhood trauma or with the abuser, blah, blah, blah. We don't start there. We start with the driver in front of us that's driving too slow, and the mind starts arguing about it or yelling at them in our head, and they're not going to hear, and nobody hears. Or the line is too long at the store, or the weather. So he says traffic and weather are where you start, along with, meditation. Richard, the talk is called You Are Transcended to This World. I can send the link to you or anyone. Just send me a private message through here or anywhere I am. But you could find it with a search as well, likely. So, in this part of the talk that we just heard, he was talking about, using meditation to focus on the breath, which then takes the focus away from just the stream of thinking. And that eventually, with our training our minds to focus on our breath, to be mindful in meditation, that will eventually then translate to our outside world. So that when we're, the driver in front of us is going too slow, we might have that reaction of like, or, they're looking at their phone. But then we will say, we will have that witness consciousness developing to where it's then, there's the mind doing its thing, complaining about the driver. Just like Michael Singer said, here's the moment where I let go. There's an inner tension, there's an inner constriction. Something energetically is going on. It doesn't feel pleasant. If the driver's going slow and we're going to be late. I can see all this. I can see the thoughts. I can see the heart, the energies. And there might just be this much space in between, the consciousness, the witness, and the thoughts, the arguing with reality, the preferences. And eventually that grows. So, it all starts from somewhere. Hey, Madeline. Yes. So then at the end of the talk, he was talking about the benefits of doing this. The benefits are the biggest bliss and peace you've ever known. Enlightenment. Bliss. It's like all the things that we, our mind wants, or, and that we try to manipulate the outside world to get. When we stop trying to get it from the outside world and we focus on the internal experience, then over time, eventually, like he said, instead of being pulled down, our mind, our heart, the blockages, the samskaras, he talks a lot about that, pulling us down, then the energy pulls us up into bliss. So it's about, transcending ourselves to this world, loosening the grip that our mind has. It's natural. And he said in the talk, like, we just pat the mind on the head. Oh, isn't it cute that you're doing that again? We don't get mad. We don't try to stop it. He has another talk called Doing the Real Work to Free Yourself. You know, I mean, we all just want to be free. Who else just wants to be fucking free? Why do you want all the things that you want, or why do you want things to stop? You know, we either want things or we want things to go away and not happen. Why do we want all these things? You know, I'm a life coach, as many of you know, and I talk with people all the time, you know, every day, all day long. That's my quote job, and it's amazing, and I love it, and, you know, I'm so grateful. And, you know, in talking to people all day long about their dreams, it's like, great, and why do you want it? Why do you want the thing? Without fail, it's always, I want peace. I want freedom. I'd say peace is number one. Freedom and joy, you know, are second. So, you know, the invitation in Singer's teachings and many teachers is like the other quote I read that kept coming up in the session. Now I'm not going to be able to find the card. Anyway, I pretty much memorized it, but stopping looking to the world outside for anything. And this is very simple, but it is not easy. But that doesn't mean it's an excuse or it's not possible. He talks all the time. You've got to have a commitment. And really, he says the biggest barrier to people freeing themselves and awakening and having enlightenment, they aren't willing, they don't want it enough. And, you know, he talks about it, the Bhagavad Gita talks about it, like all the teachers that teach this sort of teaching say the same damn thing. It takes a moment by moment commitment to staying conscious no matter what, and just being done with having, you know, trying to get anything from the outside world to change how we feel inside. So he talks about, you know, we have experiences from the past, and if we liked them, we stored them inside and we clung. If we didn't like them, we resisted, and in the resistance stored it inside. So we have a mountain of shit inside of us energetically, and that's why we suffer. So, you know, we get to work with getting rid of that, and every moment we are presented with opportunities where our stuff gets touched, so that we can practice letting go, no matter what it is. Let go. So we've got all the old stuff, but every moment is constantly unfolding, and there's new stuff, right? So he says, like, first thing, he says in the morning, be like, I will not store anything inside of me. I will not let anything pass through my awareness today that I will resist or cling to, so that I will not store it inside. So I won't put anything new on the pile of shit that's already there. And that in itself is, I mean, yeah, I'm not there yet, y'all. I want to be there. I'm just not. And it's, you know, we're all on our own journey. I'm not that committed. And it's not a judgment. I want to be. It's kind of like, you know, for those of you that know me know I'm clean and sober in AA for 26 years. It's like hitting a bottom with an addiction. Because it is. The mind is addicted to these patterns, addicted to control. The mind is addicted to suffering. It's like, for me to have, gotten clean and sober, I had to hit a horrible bottom internally and externally. And really that's kind of like to really be deeply committed, like no matter what, I will no longer create my own suffering. It takes, to me, a level of commitment of that caliber. And we start where we are, and we do our best in every moment. And, I call Michael Singer spiritual tough love, in that, he says it requires this commitment, and most people don't have it. So it is what it is. We're on our journeys. We're all here. I mean, even to be here, to be interested in this conversation is, if to even be interested in Insight Timer as an app that you would want to use at all, like, you're on the path. And it's levels. It's levels. And the thing is too, like this, and I say this to my coaching clients a lot, of like, we don't want to use our awareness to weaponize it. And I notice that my mind will do that, of like, I feel like I have a huge amount of awareness of where my suffering comes from. And a lot of times, like, I don't follow up the awareness with the discipline in the moment that Singer talks about, of relaxing and releasing, and that full commitment to staying conscious. And so it's really easy for then the mind to be like, shame and blame and judge. You should know better. Why are you getting upset or allowing yourself to get upset about this or that? Being on this path, there can be like a high standard that the mind will come up with. And that's not helpful. That's just another mind trick. That's just another way that the spiritual ego comes in, that the mind, keeps us in suffering. So it's about meeting everything with compassion and then recommitting. Because basically, the path is, the ultimate path is to let go of getting anything from the world outside that it fills any need on a deeper level, like, of course, shelter and food and all that stuff. But, the neurotic mind, as he calls it, the neuroses, the mind just wants to control things. It's simply wanting to control so it can get what it wants. But the quote I read earlier, the one that kept coming up, we cannot solve an inner problem by looking to the world outside to solve our problem. There's always the next problem. If we, quote, solve the problem that, if it's like, I hate my job, I don't get paid enough, I hate my boss, I need a new job, and your mind gets obsessed about that, 100% of the time it happens. And think about whatever those examples are in your own life. You do get the new job. You might love it for a while, or the new boss is worse than the old one, or then the company closes, or there's always the next problem. So I really want to slow down on that so you really hear it, because it's so simple but so true. A new problem will always take the place once the old problem is, quote, solved. So that system does not work. We have to cease looking to the outside world as a solution to the inner problem of suffering. Hey, J.E. So, how does that land for y'all? Hi, Anisha. Anisha is a fellow Insight Timer teacher. Check them out. And if anyone wants to revisit this live, or you're coming in and you want to catch it, it'll be on my YouTube channel soon. Follow me here, everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, website, check me out. Give a donation if you feel called to. You can do that here or other places. And I so appreciate Insight Timer and all of you here. So I'll say the singer quote again: let go. No matter what it is, let go. So I want y'all to take that into your day or your evening or wherever you are. You will find 1,000,001 places to practice this. Let go, no matter what it is, let go. And what that means is let go of the inner energetic resistance that wants to push away an experience or a thought or cling. And he talks about relaxing and releasing behind and around the inner disturbance. And once you practice that, then you'll establish that seat of self, that seat of consciousness that I mentioned. Hey, Britt, I was thinking about you earlier because I think I was saying something about relax and release, and I just did, and here you are. Yes. So I will be going live this weekend for Reiki Ancestral Clearing and a collective card reading. Please join me for that. And again, you can catch the replay if you can't. And stay tuned for more lives scheduled during the week from me. We finished this Michael Singer talk. Send me a message. Let me know what you'd like to see covered on these lives. I've done many things. I've been a teacher almost 4 years on here. I've done all kinds of topics. So if there's anything you haven't seen in a while, want to see, you can make a request. And yeah, I'll stay tuned. If you follow me, you'll get notified. You're welcome, and thank you all for joining. So, see you very soon.